That's hilarious.
What do you consider wifey material in a girl? I guess 2024 single, so that's what we're living in.
What would I consider wifey material in a girl? I believe a lot of wifey material is kind of just how shorty like carries herself, how she like presents herself to the world. I think that plays a huge part, especially because we live in a world that judges a lot.
Yeah.
So like, 9 out of 10, if you walking around and you're carrying yourself as, I might have to go say as a hoe, but like, let's say like you're walking around and you're wearing like a really skimpy outfit or an outfit that's rather short or something like that. 9 out of 10 men are just kind of going to automatically just think you're a hoe, whether you're a hoe or not.
Even if she says she's dressing for herself?
Exactly. And it's like, and I'm not saying it's right for men to judge that way. I'm not saying it's right. She could 100% be correct. She could have 0 bodies and all that. And she could be a woman of God and pray every night. But we do live in a world where people are going to judge you just off of your look, off of your actions. If you're going in the club and you are drinking a shit ton, you're just getting like shit face. If you can't even walk back home, if you are talking to a shit ton of men or even possibly dancing with a shit ton of men, even though you may or may not be a hoe, men are just going to.
And I wanna kind of say something to that though. I do think though it might not be right to judge, I think it's a necessary evil. I think it's a necessary thing for us to do. Because like, if you were to see a guy coming down the street, ski mask on, gun in his hand, you're going to think, well, there's a good chance this man might rob me.
Facts.
Now, he could be going to church. Maybe he has a Bible in his backpack or something.
He could be a lawyer.
He could be a lawyer, could be a police officer. But because of how he's dressed, it's like, all right, well, there's a good chance that's what you are. In the past, like 50, maybe 60 odd years ago, there was a very different correlation besides how women were regularly dressed and streetwalkers. You clearly know when a girl was on the street corner trying to be a prostitute. Now for a lot of ladies, it's very hard to differentiate who's just a regular mom going down to the street to go to the grocery store, and who's a hoe who's waiting on the corner for a man to come pick her up. A lot of girls who are not hoes dress like hoes. So it's like, well, I guess you're a hoe, but you're not a hoe. You're just dressing that way. And then they say they dress for themselves. And of course, yeah, cool, you can dress for yourselves, but that don't mean people ain't going to judge you. Yeah. That don't mean people ain't going.
And I think that's kind of what's like lost in
correlation?
Type shit. Correlation or translation.
Or translation, yeah. Translation.
But like, I think that's what's kind of like lost. I think people just assume, listen, no one knows you.
Yeah, facts.
No one knows who you are. No one knows you. All they see is that face value. And a lot of times,
what you show them.
What you show them.
Yep.
So they're going to judge you off of that face value. They don't know you until they actually start getting to know you. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, wow, this girl is actually damn near a saint. Oh, my gosh. This girl is,
And you know what? Going off of that real quick, right? There are some girls who I thought were hoes because of how they dress. When I actually got to talking to them, I found out they've never had a boyfriend, never kissed a guy, never been with nobody.
Exactly.
And I'm like, but the way you're dressing and what you're posting online and all that and how you're talking,
completely different.
It just seems like you've been with a whole bunch of guys.
Exactly.
It's just what you show.
So that's why I think it's more than like how you dress. Obviously plays a huge role.
Yeah. What are some qualities? What are some qualities that a wifey girl has?
I would kind of say. How do I kind of qualities? I think it comes to one, how she talks. I think how she carries herself as a woman, how she talks, how she presents herself. Whether or not she's, I'm not gonna say if you're loud, you're not wifey, but like, have you ever just like met a girl who's just like a little like kind of comes off as like rather like just like really aggressive?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's the greatest quality. I'm not gonna say obviously that means you're not wifey, but I think just a woman who's a little bit more feminine. Just like less aggressive or less masculine.
Soft spoken? Is that kind of what you're kind of going for when you're saying like she's not like yelling and such?
Yeah, I guess you could say like soft spoken, but I also think soft spoken as in like she won't speak up. And I'm not saying
I never really saw it as that. I think more soft spoken as you are like when you speak, you're very gentle when you speak. You're not like out here yelling and stuff, but you still speak up for yourself.
Okay, all right. If we can use that definition, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with that definition. I still think like regardless of who you are, you still need to speak up for yourself.
Hell yeah, without a doubt.
Especially if someone's disrespecting you.
Yeah, for real.
I would also say just. I also think how she carries herself in the relationship and like how she treats the man as well. Mm-hmm. So just how like the man has to respect her, I think she also has to respect her man and treat her man very well as well. I think it needs to be both ways. And I think we kind of live in a society where, and we talked a little bit about the gym, I think both men and women are kind of fucking each other up.
Yeah,
I think it's like
that's true.
Women are walking around like we're the prize, we need this, we this and this, and now I'm realizing the men are kind of doing the same thing. They're like, well, actually, no,
we're the prize,
we need this and we need this, and it's at a point where it's like
it's like a tug of war.
Yeah,
both sides are pulling each other,
and it's not. You ever think maybe we're both the prize, and maybe we should be trying to
we're both supposed to work together
to kind of build each other up and to keep those
beautiful.
Things.
Beautiful, Tyler. And
you
that's
know what I'm saying?
And not to get too far off topic because I still want to come back to this, but I also want to kind of talk about that for a second. I do believe we're both the prize in that sense. You know, I don't think it's really one's greater than the other. Nah. It's like a yin and yang
type shit.
They both go hand in hand. We need the other. As men, we need women. We need them. Like the race would end if all women were like, "Yo, we're not having kids no more."
Type shit. Yeah.
What's gonna happen? And on the same foot, if all men were like, "Yo, we're not working anymore. We're not going to be for the betterment of society," society would collapse. Yeah. We wouldn't exist. Yeah. So both sides need the other side, but I feel both sides just gotten really entitled lately. Yeah. Bro. Both sides are like, "Yo, like fuck you,
type shit.
Give me this."
Yeah.
And it's just like it's a butting of heads that's not conducive to healthy relationships, and. Like I said before, and we've said this shit, tons of podcasts at this point, a lot of people are going to end up sad because of the bad advice that they're following in regards to male and female relationships.
And also, I feel like both sides are asking no
one's willing to compromise.
Yeah.
No one's willing to give.
Exactly. How can I ask you for something and also not give you nothing in return? It's kind of like
it's very backwards.
It got to be both ways.
It's very backwards.
You gotta work with me.
Yeah.
So it's like if I ask you for this, I kind of also got to give you this as well.
A lot of men feel jaded and a lot of women feel jaded, and you know I think both sides are kind of are right to feel the way they feel, because here's an example. For a lot of young men, you know, you hear the statement, "Okay, good men, good guys always finish last." Well, why does that statement exist? Well, a lot of ladies, of course, not all of them, but a lot of ladies. Well, I don't want the good guy to think I'm a hoe, so I'm going to let him wait, but I'm going to fuck
the
fuck boy because, like, I just want some dick. But I'm going to let the good guy wait. Well, men who want to be good men, we hear this, and we think, well, you're rewarding the bad guy for his behavior, and then you're punishing me for being good.
And logically, you're going to start thinking.
And logically, well, we're just like, what are we doing here?
Why am I going to keep being good?
Exactly. So those same good guys become the bad guys. And they're like, I'm not going to be loyal to any of you. I'm not going to settle down. I'm not going to do any of this. So then those same girls who want good guys are like, where have all the good men gone? Well, you turned them into bad guys. And then vice versa. Those same bad men meet good women. Good women who just want someone to settle down with, someone to be there for them, this, that, the other. And then they do them wrong. And then now the girls are like, bro, what happened? Like, I thought we were going to be together forever. I thought we were doing this and that. And now they're jaded to where now they're just like, yo, like, fuck a guy if he thinks he's good.
Exactly.
Why am I going to, because you lied to me in the first place. I thought you were good and you still cheated on me. You still fucked around on me. So then now she's bad. And it just keeps going back and forth.
It's like a never-ending
Both sides are hurting the other side. Yeah. And then inadvertently, we're hurting ourselves. It's a losing battle that we're just going to continuously sink in. And there's really no saving it at this point because there are more people who are trying to perpetuate the bad than there are people who are trying to perpetuate the good.
Yeah.
No one's trying to push being good.
Because good is not fun.
No. Good's not dramatic. Good doesn't Good doesn't bring you the tingles.
It's not excitement. It's not
No,
exciting.
no.
There's no drama in good.
Mm-mm.
There's no excitement is good. There's no thrill in good.
Yeah.
There's no adrenaline rush in good.
No, there isn't, And to that point, too, on both sides, men are listening to, and I don't think this is, like, terrible to listen to, of course, but I think
it's like
everything
it's
within
in
moderation.
bro.
Everything within moderation.
Facts.
Now, we've all heard about, like, what's the red pill and MGTOW and that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't think those things are bad. I think it's very smart for men to go focus on themselves. I think it's very smart for men to know what female nature is.
Of course.
But a lot of young men specifically listen to it so much to where they start to really dislike women.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they dislike women as a whole. I just believe they dislike women's actions. And I can understand, because women do be on the bullshit sometimes. But on the same side, I am not as well versed in what the female version of that is. Only thing I really know is about that sprinkle lady. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about. But there are other female content creators out there that essentially say all the bad things men are doing. Women see this and they believe, well, this is a perfect example of why there's no good men. So they start being mad at men. They start being jaded at men, and they start taking on other girls' trauma, just like how men take on other men's. Like, damn, well, he kind of went through this. He kind of went through this. Well, there's a good chance Charlie will do this to me. The same things the girls are doing.
I also think they look at it as I feel like with a lot of this stuff, they look at it in terms of the person consuming it looks at it as, I'm not sure if generalization is a good term, but they look at it as a whole. So one man or one female will tell their very, very unfortunate story about the opposite sex, and then now you kind of just view every female like that.
Every female like that, yeah.
And it's like, bruh, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Now I've obviously, because I'm a man, I've seen more of the red pill stuff than like the other, like the female version. I have seen the female version, but I've just seen more of the red pill.
More of the guy stuff.
And I agree with you. I think it's good to. It's good
to have knowledge.
Yeah, but like that shouldn't be your only thing you're consuming.
Nah,
and I think if you're constantly consuming it, and you mentioned in the gym, some of your mother told me like,
you are what you feed your mind.
Thank you so much.
You are what you feed your mind.
So if you're constantly seeing that over and over in all these horror stories about women,
yes,
eventually you're gonna start thinking women insane. Because I've talked to female friends, and they're like, yeah, all men are trash. It's like, no, that's not how this works. And just because Sally hopped on her channel and talked about the fucking 10 niggas that did her wrong does not mean all men are trash. Or just because you might be talking to a nigga who is trash does not mean all men are trash.
Yes.
It just means you are currently orienting yourself with men
that aren't good.
that good. And on top of that, you're watching content
about men that aren't good.
Who aren't good.
So then your view is skewed. And you're thinking all men are bad.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with the guys.
Exactly.
Your view is skewed, and you think all women are bad.
Like,
well, that ain't really the case.
Nah.
So both sides hate each other. Both sides like, you're doing me wrong. So both sides are gonna keep doing each other wrong. Yeah. It's a really horrid cycle we've created for ourselves.
Bro, that's bad, man.
It can't be solved. In my personal opinion, it can't be solved.
You don't think ever?
Nah, man.
Do you think it can't be solved? So do you just think it's just going to keep getting worse?
Yeah, essentially. I think it's going to get worse until the generations that are currently involved in it die out.
So I guess it can be solved, but
it's not going to be within our time. We're in the epicenter of this right now, man. They didn't start with us.
So you believe it's probably generations who aren't even born yet? Do you believe that?
Not even the generations that aren't even born yet, man. But I think the generation after us is Generation Alpha.
I believe so.
They're no better off.
Oh, no, they're fucked.
They're better off.
God bless.
They're no better off, man. I mean, we're not better off either, but like they're worse off. Because they're coming into just straight social media.
Yeah.
So they're coming into all the bullshit that we're seeing online.
We at least had like the last little bit of like.
We had the last little bit of the 90s. Yeah. We had the last little bit of that where you could play outside. You could go outside and see your friends. Yeah. There was no going online type stuff. It was, you had neighborhood kids that you hung around with.
Yeah.
Well, your neighborhoods were safe. We had the last little bit of that up until like 2010, 2012. That shit really changed.
Yeah.
But to kind of go back to the to the other question, because I wanted to say like,
I'm curious what you
couple
believe.
qualities that I think. Femininity is extremely important. You need that in a wife. Selflessness. You need to be selfless. And I know people are like, well, you shouldn't be selfish. You should think about yourself. I don't disagree with that. I don't. But when you're in a relationship with someone that you love, you should be selfless. You should be all about them. And vice versa, they should be all about you. So it shouldn't be the woman is all about the man, but the man is all about himself.
Nah,
It should be the woman is all about the man, and the man is all about the woman. He is there, essentially, to fulfill her needs. Whatever she needs done, he's able to do it. And vice versa. She's there to fulfill his needs. Whatever his needs are, that's what you do. You shouldn't be selfish in that sense. You know, you should be focused on your partner. What are your partner's needs? What do they need done? And then vice versa. So you don't have to worry about your own needs. Your partner is worried about your needs. Now, if you get yourself into a situation wherein you're with someone who doesn't care about you, and you're giving to them, and they're not giving back to you,
I'll get them out of there.
you should really take yourself out of the situation, because then it's not going to work. It only being selfless only works when you're with someone else who's also selfless. I would not encourage someone to be selfless to someone who's selfish.
It feels like you're being used.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Not even feels like, that's what it is. You're just being used. So a woman who's feminine, a woman who is selfless, a woman who's soft-spoken but knows how to speak up for herself, of course. I personally don't like loud women. This is not my thing. Like, I really can't deal with that. A lot of these are kind of just personal things, of course, because I believe
Everyone has
their own
let it out.
version of what that is. So maybe something I might see as a wifey quality in a woman, another man might not think it's a necessity.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't really like women who are extremely loud. I like women who are outgoing, but I don't think you need to be loud to be outgoing.
Outgoing and loud is two different things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people kind of correlate both, wherein if you're the loudest at the party, you're the loudest.
Nah.
You're the most outgoing person there, which I don't think that's the case. A woman who's outgoing, a woman who is family-oriented and determined.
Okay.
If we're talking about a wife, chances are we're talking about having children with the woman. So you have to be family-oriented and mother-oriented. I've noticed, though, speaking just of the current climate that we are living in, younger women who are in their early, I guess, just say not even early, just in their 20s, aren't very family oriented in the sense they kind of want to take those their 20s to focus on their careers, get an education, party with their friends, live their best life. Now, I don't think that's a wrong thing to do. God gave you choice as a human being, and you have every right to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. However, and this is, I think, going to start happening more and more and more as we all get older. As men, we are meant to focus on one thing, and as women, they're meant to focus on something else. Now, if you want to have children, you want to have a family, personally, I would advise you do that sooner than later, especially as a woman. They have that whole biological clock thing going. Now, of course, you can have children in your 30s, but you lose out on having either your mom and pops there to help you out, kind of like grandparents, like the nuclear family, which I think we've kind of gone a little bit further from. So you lose out on that ability because, like, your parents probably going to be a little bit older, so they might not be able to help you out as much as you probably would have been able to help out. You miss out on the opportunities to build with a man. Finding a man who's also in his 20s, either kind of just going through the struggle with him. And I'm not talking about men who don't want to build themselves.